Alright, today I'm going to be doing my playoff predictions for the 2020-2021 year. Obviously, the Patriots didn't make it this year, sadly. And so I'm going to have to take. You're going to see a different perspective this year without New England. And it saddens me as I am a Patriots fan. But hey, I think Bill's going to make big moves this year. And we're going to have a bounce back year next year. But until then, I'm just gonna start with these predictions. So first, let's start with I think let's start with the NFC because I feel like it's a little bit more straightforward. Okay, so right here we got the New Orleans Saints second seed against the Chicago Bears seventh seed. Obviously, I think Chicago is honestly a very perfect team, except the most important position, which is the quarterback. I honestly think Nick Foles is better than Mitch Trubisky. A lot of people disagree with that, but I do believe that. But yeah, the Saints have one of the best rosters in the NFL, and I don't think once Drew Brees leaves next year, I think they're gonna be really bad starting next year because of their cap situation. But for this year, they do have a really good chance of getting all the way and winning the Super Bowl for Drew Brees in his last year. And yeah, I think they're gonna start off the playoff with a win against uh, Chicago. So put that in. Okay. Next, we got Seattle and the Rams. Um, I think the Rams are exactly like the Bears. They have everything correct except uh, a quarterback. Their running game is going to get better with Cam Akers. Obviously, he has the high ankle sprain, so I don't expect anything from him against Seattle today, but he is a good running back overall. He destroyed the Patriots, honestly. Um, Obviously, we had defensive problems too, but nevertheless, I do think I trust Russell Wilson way more, and the Seattle defense has been uh, very good for like the past 5 weeks since they've gotten Jamal Adams back. So, yeah, I think this is an easy one for me. I think Seattle. We don't even know if Jared Goff is playing, so um, yeah. Next we got the Washington football team against Tampa Bay. And I don't really understand why so many people hate Tom Brady. I mean, if anything, the Patriots fans should hate Tom Brady because he left us. But people still be hating on Tom Brady for no reason, honestly. And I just think it's laughable. And Tampa Bay's probably one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now. And I think uh, a lot of people are saying the football team matches up well because they have a really good defensive line and Tom Brady doesn't like pressure. And I do agree with that. But I do not think their offense is uh, good enough to be up to par against Tampa Bay's offense. And I also think Tampa Bay has a very good defense, excluding the secondary. I mean, their front seven is as good as anybody in the league. They probably have the best linebackers in the league. So, yeah, I think Tampa Bay uh, will beat Washington. I'll be really surprised if they lose, and I think it's this year or ever because for Tampa Bay because it's the first time in the playoffs, and lots of people are saying, oh, they're not ready for it, and Washington's gonna surprise. Washington's gonna upset, but I don't believe it. I think all three teams in the all three favorites in the NFC, um, will get the win. Wild card weekend. Um, okay. Next we have Seattle at New Orleans. Now this is probably the toughest game to predict, in my opinion, just because Russell Wilson is just so lethal. And although New Orleans has that roster, you can never count out Russell Wilson. Um, but if I had to choose, um, I think I'm gonna have to go. Geez, this is really hard. All right, I'm gonna start with the AFC wild card and then go back to the NFC divisional. So here, Tennessee, Baltimore. I do have Baltimore winning this game. Uh, Baltimore. Oh shoot. Yeah. Um, and this is for many reasons, but primarily it is because they're the hottest team in the league right now. Nobody is going to stop Lamar Jackson on Tennessee's defense. Honestly, Tennessee's defense probably has Malcolm Butler, and that's it. And he's a corner. He cannot stop that rush game. I think they have the most rushing yards in the league again as a team, not as a player. I know Derrick Henry is a beast, but I just don't think Derrick Henry can carry his entire team. I know um, Tennessee's offense is honestly really good. It's just their defense. I don't think anybody can trust that defense, and I trust Baltimore's defense way more. Two aggressive corners, Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey. Fumbles. I just think this narrative of Lamar Jackson not winning a playoff game is going to come to an end, and he is going to beat the Titans. Unlike the regular season game when they lost in overtime, but I don't even think it will get to such a situation. I think Lamar will just be staying at their necks and keep hitting them. I think he's going to be super efficient in the red zone too. So I just don't think Tennessee will be able to answer with that. Uh, um, Especially with the lopsided talent on defense. Next, we got Pittsburgh at Cleveland. I think it's pretty obvious Pittsburgh's going to win. One sec. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Obviously, Cleveland's missing their coach. They do not have secondary help. I don't know if Denzel Ward's playing. Nevertheless, I don't think Denzel Ward can cover the plethora of receivers that the Steelers have. Big Ben's rested. T.J. Watt's rested. Some other key players for the Steelers are rested. They almost beat Cleveland last week when with their second string players. So I just don't believe that Cleveland has enough depth on the defensive side for them to cause trouble to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh has one of the best defenses to keep up with Cleveland. So Cleveland is a very game managing team, meaning they need like the run game to work for them to be efficient. Baker's good. I think he can be the franchise QB there, but I just don't think he will be able to manage a comeback or play like how he played against the Ravens with this Pittsburgh defense, which is probably way better than Baltimore's right now. And then Buffalo at Indianapolis. I actually think this is a very close game. Obviously, I hate Buffalo, as I am a Patriots fan, and they are our divisional rival, and they whooped us 2 weeks ago, I think. And but we should have won the first game. I don't even care what anyone says. Cam Newton made a mistake, and that happens. I don't blame him. But we should have won that first game. Anyways, yeah, I think the Bills will beat the Colts in a very close game. I think Josh Allen's going to make a lot of mistakes. That Indy defense is really good. Darius Leonard is probably top 3 linebacker in the league. Philip Rivers is the only. You can see a theme here. A lot of these teams are really good except for the biggest position, the quarterback. But they do have a run game going with Jonathan Taylor, and they have a receiving back in Nyheim Hines who can do damage. Buffalo, on the other hand, I think Stephon Diggs runs that team. I do not think Josh Allen is this good without Stephon Diggs. And so I think Buffalo will win a really close game, probably like a field goal game. And that's only because the Colts cannot stop Stephon Diggs. Next, okay, now we can go to the divisional round. I'm going to start with the AFC because I just think it's easier. Kansas City at Baltimore. This might surprise you guys, but I do have Baltimore winning, and for many reasons. Kansas City's looked really vulnerable these past weeks. Patrick Mahomes hasn't played will not have played in 3 weeks. Baltimore again is the hottest team in the league. Remind you again, And although it's gonna be in Kansas City, but Baltimore weather is pretty similar to Kansas City around this time, and I think Baltimore routs Kansas City. Just kidding. It's gonna be close, but I do think Baltimore will edge it out, and Lamar Jackson will get his win against his kryptonite, as he says it, and he will get to a conference championship. And people really be doubting Lamar just because he has that running element to him, but he really can pass. Obviously, he's not as efficient or a better thrower of the football as like someone like Patrick Mahomes, but I do think he will be able to carry his team past Kansas City. I think um, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs will be really rusty coming out of the gates, and I don't think they'll be able to pull off another comeback like how they did basically the entirety of last year's playoffs. Pittsburgh at Buffalo. I got Pittsburgh winning the rematch. Um, so I got Pittsburgh winning the rematch. I do not trust this Buffalo team just because of their quarterback Josh Allen, and trust me, he's in our division, and I know what it feels to lose to him, and I honestly believe he's not as good as other quarterbacks. I'm so happy he's the best, well considered uh the best quarterback in our division, excluding the Patriots, because I'll talk about that later in another video. But I'd rather have him playing in our division than Justin Herbert or Patrick Mahomes or a Lamar Jackson or a Joe Burrow. I honestly do believe Josh Allen isn't as good as other people proclaim him to be. Obviously, he has improved dramatically, but I think once his offensive coordinator leaves, which he will soon, to get a coaching job, he's too talented to not. And he's from New England. Just making that out there, putting that out there. Um, I just don't think. Okay, back to the game. Basically, Pittsburgh defense this time, I think, will be able to hold Buffalo off because of their offense. And what I mean by that is, I think this offense is Steelers' offense is going to start clicking. Obviously, their run game's a little iffy, but I think if Big Ben can mix up these short and long throws, he has to go deep a little bit over the top to open up that defense. I think they'll be able to put up long drives and keep their defense off of the field, so they'll be rested to be able to stop Stephon Diggs and the Buffalo offense. And I honestly think it'll be a touchdown game or a 10-point game win for Pittsburgh. Yeah, I do believe that, and leave what you think. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me that I did not pick Kansas City or Buffalo to get to the conference championship, but that's honestly how I feel. Okay, now let's go to the NFC divisional round. Green Bay at Tampa Bay. I don't understand this Green Bay hype. I understand Aaron Rodgers is that man, and he can single-handedly take over a game, but I just do not believe in this front office helping him out. I mean, he's not had, who can he throw to other than Devontae Adams? And I understand the Tampa Bay secondary is really bad, and Devontae Adams is probably the best receiver in the league right now. But do I believe that that will elevate them to beat Tampa? No. They literally lost to them already. They got blown out by them already in Tampa. I understand the Lambeau Field uh, advantage for Aaron, but I honestly think that can open up the run game for Tampa. And obviously, Brady's known to be playing in cold weather, so this is pretty much nothing to him. I don't know how he'll feel though. Um, obviously, Tom Brady has better weapons, and I just think he honestly, if he could just throw it to Gronk and they won't be able to cover it, who's going to cover him? Jair Alexander, the most overrated cornerback in the league? No, I'm playing. But Jair Alexander cannot cover Gronk. I don't think he can cover Mike Evans. Maybe Chris Godwin. I don't know. I think AB is way too fast for him. I think Chris Godwin can run routes probably better than Jair Alexander can cover. So I think this is a favorable matchup for Tampa Bay, and this literally puts them into the conference championship. which is really surprising, I know, and a lot of people are gonna uh, hate on me for that, but that's how I feel. It's just my opinion, guys. But if they do make it there, you know who told you. Seattle and New Orleans, again, this is the toughest game. Uh, man, I really don't know. Okay, Seattle has. Uh, I really don't know. Okay, I'm gonna go New Orleans, just, but this is contingent on if they have a healthy Michael Thomas, um, and Alvin Kamara. Also, all these predictions are barring any COVID or injuries. Obviously, I'll have to. You can follow me on Twitter at Excalibur1060 to see if I change my mind on any of these predictions based off injuries or COVID or something like that. Something that changes. But going back to the game, I think New Orleans has a better overall roster, and I don't think. I do like Seattle's defense, how it's come up, and I do like Seattle's offense a little bit more, but I do think New Orleans has a more dynamic playmakers. I think Michael Thomas and DK Metcalf, they cancel out, and Emmanuel Sanders and Tyler Lockett, they cancel out. But the running back situation, Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, Rashad Penny, all those three are not as good as Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray, and yeah, I just think New Orleans just edges them out based off the running game. Um, and yeah, that's how it's going to be. So these are the final four teams going into the conference championships: Baltimore, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. Um, so start with the AFC. I think Baltimore beats Pittsburgh. I know they lost to them two times in the regular season, but guess what? They were not healthy, and the second time Pittsburgh almost lost to them without Lamar Jackson and many of their starters not even on the field. I think the Ravens are going to the Super Bowl. Yes, and it hurts to say as a Patriots fan, it really does, but I think I'd rather have them go than Kansas City or Buffalo. God, I hate those two teams. Anyways, I think Baltimore will win just because they put up like 270 rushing yards against Pittsburgh the first time they faced them with Lamar Jackson, and Pittsburgh really runs on their defense. I don't expect uh Pittsburgh to keep up with Baltimore's offense. I think it will be pretty close at the end though. But again, I just think losing Bud Dupree was huge, and uh losing that linebacker Bush was huge for Pittsburgh, and this is where it's going to show in this game against Baltimore. They're going to be missing them too, and I think Baltimore will prevail. Now, to the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I think New Orleans is gonna win. They beat them the other two meetings, and I don't see anything changing here. Although I'd rather have Tampa Bay win just because I feel like the NFL would look really scripted if Drew Brees went to the Super Bowl in his final year, just like Peyton Manning did. I think the Saints are going to win, and it's mostly because Tampa Bay. I don't know. It's like the perfect kryptonite to them, as people would say. No, the Saints are just like loaded on defense and they have a pass rush that that great Tampa Bay offensive line will not be able to keep up with, and then their secondary just cannot cover receivers. And with a healthy Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, I think Drew Brees will just carve that team up. Uh, Even though he doesn't know how to throw it over the top. And then Baltimore at New Orleans in the Super Bowl. Um, in Tampa, I've got Baltimore winning. And yes, this may sound surprising, but I got Lamar Jackson bringing his promise, keeping to his promise, I should say, and beating New Orleans, and winning that Super Bowl for the team that believed in him. And it hurts to say, because New England could have been one of those teams to pick Lamar up, but they didn't. And I think, honestly, it's Lamar being Lamar. I think if Lamar gets to the Super Bowl he gets the extra week to rest, I think he will be MVP caliber like he was last year. Dish that ball around. Got Des Bryant now. You got Hollywood Brown. Got Mark Andrews. I don't think the Saints have enough people in the secondary to cover all three and take care of Lamar. Drew Brees, I think he's going to throw a pick or two because of how aggressive Marlon Humphrey and Marcus Peters are as corners. And I think those turnovers are going to be the keys to the game for Baltimore's victory. So, yeah. How do you guys think I did with these predictions? Leave a comment below. Like, comment, subscribe. Um, and see you in the next video. Peace.